The transport ship landed on station horizon with a soft hum. The metal doors opened slowly, letting bright white light flood the dark interior. A single figure stepped out into the human space station, and everyone who watched felt a strange silence fall over them. Princess Kira of the Velen Empire stood barely 5 feet tall. Her skin was pale blue, smooth like polished stone, and her large silver eyes looked at nothing and everything at the same time. She wore simple gray robes, nothing like the royal clothes her family was known for. Her shoulders were low, her head was down, and she walked like someone who had already given up on life. Han Yi watched her from across the landing bay. He was 52 years old, a retired combat instructor with gray hair and tired eyes. He had trained soldiers for 30 years before the military put him behind a desk. Now they had given him a new job. He was supposed to be the guardian of this alien princess, to keep her safe and comfortable during her stay with humans. He already knew the truth about why she was here. The Velen Empire and the United Earth Coalition had been enemies for decades. They fought small wars, cold wars, and sometimes no wars at all. But they never trusted each other. When peace talks began 6 months ago, everyone was surprised. When King Orin of Velen offered to send his daughter to live with humans as a sign of good faith, everyone was shocked. But Han Yi understood politics. He understood what powerful people did with things they did not want. Princess Kira was not a gift. She was garbage being thrown away in a pretty package. The Velens were a proud race. They stood over 7 feet tall, with bodies made of thick muscle and bones harder than steel. They healed fast, fought hard, and believed that strength was everything. A weak Velen was worse than dead. A weak Velen was a shame to their family and their empire. Kira was weak. She was born small, fragile, and slow to heal. Among her people she was considered broken. Her father, the great King Orin, had finally found a way to get rid of her without looking cruel. He called it diplomacy. Han Yi called it abandonment. A young officer walked up to Han Yi and handed him a tablet with information about the princess. Her age, her medical records, her dietary needs. Han Yi barely looked at it. He was watching Kira instead. She had stopped walking and was looking around the station with those empty silver eyes. Humans passed by her, some staring, some pretending not to notice. She did not react to any of them. Han Yi walked toward her. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. When he was close enough, he stopped and gave a small bow, the kind humans used to show respect. "Princess Kira," he said, "welcome to Station Horizon. I am Han Yi. I will be taking care of you during your stay." She looked at him. For a moment something moved behind her eyes. Surprise, maybe, or confusion. Then it was gone, replaced by that same empty expression. "Thank you," she said. Her voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "I will try not to be a burden." Han Yi felt something twist in his chest. He had seen that look before. He had seen it in soldiers who had lost hope, in prisoners who had accepted defeat. It was the look of someone who believed they were worthless. He said nothing more. He simply gestured for her to follow and led her to her quarters. The room they gave her was small but comfortable. It had a bed, a desk, a window that showed the stars outside. Kira stood in the middle of the room and looked around like she did not know what to do with herself. "If you need anything," Han Yi said from the doorway, "you can call me. The button is next to the bed." She nodded without looking at him. "I understand." He left her alone. For the next 3 days, Han Yi watched her from a distance. He watched her eat alone in the corner of the food hall, taking small bites and never finishing her meals. He watched her walk through the station with her head down, moving aside whenever anyone came near her. He watched her sit by the window in her room, staring at the stars for hours without moving. She never complained. She never asked for anything. She acted like she was trying to take up as little space as possible, like she was apologizing for existing. On the 3rd night, Han Yi found her sitting in the observation deck. It was late, and the deck was empty except for her. The stars stretched out in front of the window like an ocean of light. Kira sat on the floor with her knees pulled up to her chest, looking smaller than ever. Han Yi walked over and sat down next to her. He did not say anything at first. He just sat there, looking at the stars with her. After a long silence, Kira spoke. "Why are you being kind to me?" Han Yi looked at her. "Why would I not be?" She shook her head slowly. "My father sent me here because I am worthless. Everyone knows this. You do not have to pretend otherwise." Han Yi was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I spent 30 years training soldiers. Some of them were big and strong. Some of them were small and weak. Do you know which ones became the best warriors?" Kira did not answer. "The ones who refused to give up," Han Yi said. "Size does not make a warrior. Strength does not make a warrior. Heart makes a warrior. Will makes a warrior." Kira looked at him. There was something different in her eyes now. A small spark buried deep beneath all that emptiness. "I do not have heart," she said quietly. "I do not have will, I have nothing." Han Yi stood up. He looked down at her, and for the first time his face was serious. "That is not true," he said. "You have survived. You have lived your whole life being told you are nothing, and you are still here. You are still breathing. That takes more strength than you know." He offered her his hand. "I am going to ask you one question," he said, "and I want you to think carefully before you answer. Do you want to stay weak, or do you want to learn what strength really means?" Kira stared at his hand. Her whole life, no one had ever offered to help her. No one had ever looked at her and seen anything worth saving. She had believed them. She had believed she was broken, useless, a mistake. But this human was looking at her differently. He was looking at her like she was a person, like she mattered. Slowly, she reached up and took his hand. "I want to learn," she whispered. Han Yi pulled her to her feet. For the first time since she arrived, something that looked almost like hope appeared on her face. "Good," he said. "Then we start tomorrow. Get some rest. You are going to need it." He walked away, leaving her standing alone in the observation deck. But she did not feel alone anymore. She felt something she had not felt in years. She felt like maybe, just maybe, she had a chance. The training room was empty when Kira arrived at dawn. The floor was covered with soft mats and the walls were lined with mirrors. She had never been in a place like this before. Velen training grounds were made of stone and metal, designed to test pain and endurance. This room felt different. It felt like a place for learning, not suffering. Han Yi was already waiting for her. He wore simple training clothes and stood in the center of the room with his hands behind his back. "You came," he said. "I said I would," Kira replied. Han Yi nodded. "Good. The first lesson of human fighting is this: always keep your word." He walked in a slow circle around her, studying her body, her posture, the way she held herself. Kira stood still and let him look. She was used to being examined. Her whole life, doctors and scientists had poked and measured her, trying to understand why she was so weak. "Your people believe strength comes from size and power," Han Yi said. "They believe the biggest warrior wins. Is that correct?" "Yes," Kira said. "Then your people are fools." Kira blinked. No one had ever spoken about Velens that way, especially not in front of her. Han Yi stopped in front of her. "Humans are small, we are weak. Compared to most species in the galaxy, we are nothing special. Our bones break, our skin tears, we get sick easily, we die easily." He paused. "And yet we survived. We climbed to the top of our planet, we spread across the stars. Do you know why?" Kira shook her head. "Because we are stubborn," Han Yi said. "Because we refuse to accept defeat. Because when something is bigger and stronger than us, we find a way to beat it anyway. That is the human way." He pointed at her. "You think you are weak because you are small, but you are still faster than most humans. You are still stronger than most humans. You are only weak compared to other Velans. Here among us, you are not weak at all." Kira felt something strange in her chest. It was hope, small and fragile but real. Your problem is not your body, Han Yi continued. Your problem is your mind. You believe you are worthless because others told you so. We are going to fix that. He took a fighting stance. Now come at me, attack me any way you want. Kira hesitated. I do not want to hurt you. Han Yi smiled. It was the first time she had seen him smile. You will not. Kira stepped forward and threw a punch. It was clumsy and slow. Han Yi moved to the side easily, grabbed her arm, and used her own movement to flip her onto the mat. She landed on her back with a soft thump. She lay there staring at the ceiling. She had not felt any pain, but she was completely confused. She was stronger than him. She was faster than him. How had he done that? Han Yi offered her his hand. That is called judo. It uses your enemy's strength against them. The harder you attack, the easier it is for me to throw you. Size does not matter. Power does not matter. Timing and technique are everything. Kira took his hand and stood up. Her mind was racing. She had never seen fighting like this before. Again, she said. They trained for 3 hours that first day. Han Yi taught her how to fall without getting hurt, how to move without wasting energy, how to watch her opponent's body for signs of what they would do next. By the end, Kira was exhausted, but she did not want to stop. The next day, a new person joined their training. Her name was Yuna Park, a captain in the human military. She was tall for a human woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. She moved like a predator, quick and precise. I heard we have a new student, Yuna said, looking at Kira. The princess who wants to learn human fighting. Kira lowered her head. I am sorry if I am wasting your time. Yuna laughed. Did Han Yi teach you to apologize like that? Stop it. You are here to learn. That is never a waste of time. Yuna taught her different things than Han Yi. She taught her about tactics, about strategy, about using the environment as a weapon. She made Kira solve problems, like how to win a fight against 3 enemies when you have no weapons, or how to escape from a room with only one door. Fighting is not just about fists and kicks, Yuna explained. It is about thinking. The best warriors win their battles before they even start fighting. Kira absorbed everything like a sponge. She had always been intelligent. It was the one thing about her that even the Velans could not criticize. Now, for the first time, her intelligence was being used for something that mattered. 2 weeks into her training, she met Bora Kim. Bora was the station's medic. She was a small woman with a warm smile and kind eyes. She came to check on Kira after a particularly hard training session and ended up staying to talk. You are the princess everyone is talking about, Bora said, bandaging a small cut on Kira's hand. They say you train harder than anyone on the station. Kira looked away. I have much to learn. That is true for everyone, Bora said, but not everyone is willing to admit it. That makes you special. They talked for hours that night. Bora told Kira about human history, about the heroes who came from nothing and changed the world. She told her about warriors who were small, sick, or weak, but became legends through pure determination. Humans love underdog stories, Bora said. Stories about people who everyone counted out but who rose up and proved everyone wrong. Those are our favorite stories. Kira thought about that. She had never heard such stories among her people. Velans only celebrated the strong. They only remembered the winners. The weak were forgotten. I want to be an underdog, Kira said quietly. Bora smiled. Then you already are. Months passed. The training grew harder. Han Yi pushed Kira until her muscles screamed. Yuna challenged her mind with puzzles and scenarios that seemed impossible, but Kira never complained. She never quit. She showed up every day, ready to learn more. Her body began to change. The muscles that had always been weak started to grow firm and strong. Her movements became smooth and efficient. She learned to fight without wasting a single motion. She learned to see attacks before they happened. She learned to think 3 steps ahead of her opponent. but the biggest change was in her eyes. The hollow, empty look was gone. In its place was something new, something sharp, something dangerous. One day, Han Yi called her to the training room. He was not wearing his training clothes. He was wearing formal attire. "What is happening?" Kira asked. Han Yi's face was serious. "I received a message this morning. A Velan delegation is coming to Station Horizon. They will arrive in 1 week." Kira felt her stomach drop. "A delegation? Why?" "Diplomatic reasons, they say." Han Yi paused. "The delegation is led by Prince Vorn." The name hit Kira like a punch to the chest. Prince Vorn, her older brother, the cruelest of all her siblings, the one who had beaten her the most when they were young, the one who had laughed the loudest when their father sent her away. "He is coming here," Kira whispered. "Yes," Han Yi said, "and I need to know something. Are you ready to face him?" Kira was silent for a long moment. She thought about the girl she had been when she first arrived on the station. The small, broken, hopeless girl who believed she was worthless. That girl was gone. "I am ready," Kira said. And for the first time, she believed it. The Velen warship arrived on a Tuesday morning. It was a massive vessel, dark as night and shaped like a blade. It dwarfed the human ships that floated near Station Horizon. The message was clear without words. The Velen Empire was powerful. The humans were small. Kira watched the ship dock from the observation deck. Her heart was beating fast, but her face showed nothing. She had learned to hide her emotions during the months of training. Han Yi had taught her that a calm face was a weapon. It made your enemy unsure. It made them afraid of what you might be thinking. "You do not have to attend the welcoming ceremony," Han Yi said, standing beside her. "I can make excuses for you." "No," Kira said. "I will go. I will not hide from him." Han Yi studied her face for a moment. Then he nodded. "Very well, but remember what I taught you. Do not let him control your emotions. If you get angry, he wins. Stay calm. Stay focused." "I understand," Kira said. The welcoming ceremony was held in the station's main hall. It was a large room with high ceilings and polished floors. Human diplomats and military officers lined one side of the room. They wore their finest uniforms and stood with straight backs. On the other side, the Velen delegation entered. Prince Vorn walked at the front. He was everything Kira remembered and more. 7.5 feet tall, muscles like carved stone, a face that had never known kindness. His eyes were the color of blood, and they scanned the room with open contempt. Behind him walked 6 Velen warriors, each one massive and terrifying. They wore battle armor that gleamed under the lights. They looked at the humans like predators examining prey. Kira stood near the back of the human group, wearing a simple gray dress. She had refused to wear anything fancy. She was not trying to impress anyone. Vorn's eyes found her almost immediately. He stopped walking for a moment. A slow smile spread across his face. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who had found a toy to break. The ceremony was formal and boring. Diplomats spoke. Agreements were discussed. Hands were shaken. Through it all, Kira felt Vorn's eyes on her like a weight. He was waiting for something. She did not know what. She found out at the dinner that followed. The dining hall was filled with long tables covered in food from both human and Velen worlds. Important people from both sides sat together, pretending to enjoy each other's company. Kira sat at a small table near the edge of the room with Han Yi, Yuna, and Bora. She ate slowly, trying to ignore the heavy feeling in her chest. Then she heard heavy footsteps approaching. Vorn walked toward her table. The room fell quiet as people noticed. Everyone turned to watch. "Little sister," Vorn said in a loud voice. He spoke in the Velen language, but many humans understood it. "I almost did not recognize you. You look even smaller than before. Have the humans not been feeding you properly?" The Velen warriors behind him laughed. Some of the human diplomats shifted uncomfortably. Kira set down her fork and looked up at her brother. "Hello, Vorn. I am surprised you came all this way. I thought you had more important things to do." Vorn's smile widened. "Oh, I do. But when I heard my little sister was living with these primitives, I had to see for myself. Father was curious to know how his defective daughter was surviving among the weaklings." The word hit Kira like a slap. Defective. How many times had she heard that word growing up? How many times had it made her cry? But she did not cry now. She kept her face calm. "I am surviving just fine," she said. "Thank you for your concern." Vorn laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Surviving? Is that what you call it? I heard you have been training with these humans, learning their pathetic fighting techniques." He looked around at the humans in the room. "What could these creatures possibly teach you? They are insects compared to Velans. One of our warriors could destroy 100 of them." The human officers stiffened. Yuna's hand moved toward the weapon at her hip, but Han Yi caught her eye and shook his head slightly. Kira felt something burning inside her. It was anger, real, hot anger. For so long she had been afraid of her brother. For so long she had accepted his cruelty. But now, watching him insult the people who had shown her kindness, something snapped. She stood up. The room went silent. "You are wrong," Kira said. Her voice was calm and clear. "The humans have taught me more about strength than you will ever know." Vorn's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me." "You think strength is about size and power," Kira continued. "You think the biggest warrior always wins, but that is the thinking of a fool. True strength is about will, about heart, about refusing to give up even when everyone says you should. The humans understand this. You never will." Vorn's face twisted with rage. No one spoke to him like this. No one, least of all his worthless little sister. "You dare insult me," he growled. "You who was thrown away like garbage. You who our father could not even look at without feeling shame." "I am not afraid of you anymore," Kira said. "I am not that broken girl you used to beat when no one was watching. I am different now." Vorn took a step closer. He towered over her, his shadow falling across her face. "Different? You are still the same weak little creature you always were. You just do not know it yet." Kira held his gaze. Her heart was pounding, but her voice did not shake. "Then prove it," she said. The room seemed to freeze. "I challenge you to an honor duel," Kira continued. "Traditional rules. No weapons. First to yield or fall loses." Among Velans, an honor duel was sacred. It could not be refused without accepting permanent disgrace. Everyone knew this. Everyone understood what Kira had just done. For a moment, Vorn looked stunned. Then his face broke into a cruel smile. "You want to fight me?" he laughed. "You want to stand in the arena against me? Little sister, I have killed dozens of warriors in honor duels. Warriors twice your size. Warriors with 10 times your strength. You will not last 10 seconds." "Then accept," Kira said, "unless you are afraid." The word hung in the air. Afraid. The worst insult you could give a Velan warrior. Vorn's smile disappeared. His eyes went cold. "Very well," he said. "I accept your challenge. Tomorrow at noon, in the combat arena, the entire station can watch me remind you of your place." He turned and walked away, his warriors following behind him. The room exploded into whispers and murmurs. Yuna grabbed Kira's arm. "Are you insane? He will kill you." Han Yi said nothing. He was watching Kira's face. "He will not kill me," Kira said quietly. "I will not let him." That night Kira sat alone in the observation deck. The stars seemed brighter than usual. She thought about everything that had led her to this moment. The years of abuse. The years of being told she was worthless. The day her father sent her away. The day Han Yi offered her his hand. She heard footsteps behind her. Han Yi sat down beside her, just like he had on that first night months ago. "Are you scared?" he asked. "Yes," Kira admitted. "Good," Han Yi said. "Fear means you understand the danger. Only fools feel no fear. What if I lose? Kira asked. Han Yi was quiet for a moment. Then you lose, but you will have stood up for yourself. You will have fought back. That is more than most people ever do. He looked at her with those tired, kind eyes. You are not fighting to prove anything to him, he said. You are fighting to prove something to yourself. Win or lose, you will walk out of that arena a different person than you walked in. That is what matters. Kira nodded slowly. She understood. Get some sleep, Han Yi said, standing up. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. He walked away, leaving her alone with the stars. Kira closed her eyes. In her mind, she went through every move Han Yi and Yuna had taught her, every technique, every lesson, every moment of pain and growth. Tomorrow, she would face her demon. Tomorrow, she would find out who she really was. The combat arena on Station Horizon was originally built for human training exercises. It was a circular space with padded floors and thick walls. Safety was the priority, but today it had been transformed into something else. Today, it was a Velen honor ground. The seats around the arena were packed with bodies. Humans on one side, Velens on the other. Word had spread quickly about the challenge, and everyone wanted to see what would happen. Diplomats, soldiers, engineers, workers, they all came to witness history. Kira stood in a small room beneath the arena. She wore simple training clothes, loose and light. Han Yi was with her, along with Yuna and Bora. No one spoke. The air felt thick and heavy. Remember your training, Han Yi finally said. He is bigger and stronger. Do not try to match his power. Use it against him. Be patient. Wait for your moment. Yuna stepped forward. He will try to end it quickly. He wants to crush you in front of everyone. Do not let him. Make him chase you. Make him tired, angry, sloppy. Bora took Kira's hand and squeezed it gently. We will be watching. You are not alone. Kira looked at each of them. These humans who had taken her in, who had trained her, who had believed in her when no one else did. They were her family now, more than her blood ever was. Thank you, she said softly, for everything. A bell rang somewhere above. It was time. Kira walked through the tunnel toward the arena. With each step, the noise of the crowd grew louder. When she emerged into the light, a wave of sound hit her like a physical force. Cheers from the humans, mocking laughter from the Velans. She walked to the center of the arena and stopped. On the opposite side, another tunnel opened. Prince Vorn emerged like a monster from a nightmare. He wore no armor, only fighting clothes that showed every massive muscle on his body. His red eyes locked onto Kira immediately. The smile on his face was hungry and cruel. The crowd fell silent as Vorn walked toward her. He stopped 10 feet away, close enough that she could feel the heat coming off his body. Last chance, little sister, he said, his voice low enough that only she could hear. Bow to me now. Admit you are weak. I might let you walk away with only a few broken bones. Kira met his eyes without flinching. I am done bowing. Vorn's smile disappeared, then died. A horn sounded. The duel had begun. Vorn exploded forward. His speed was terrifying for something so large. His fist came down like a hammer, aimed straight at Kira's head. But she was not there. Kira moved to the side at the last moment, her body flowing like water. Vorn's fist hit nothing but air. He stumbled slightly, surprised. The crowd gasped. He attacked again, a kick that could break through metal. Kira ducked under it, a grabbing motion that could crush bones. Kira slipped away. Every attack missed. Every blow found nothing. Vorn roared in frustration, stand and fight. But Kira did not answer. She kept moving, kept dodging, kept making him chase her around the arena. This was the plan, make him angry, make him tired, wait for the moment. The Velens in the crowd began to shout insults. They called Kira a coward, a runner, a disgrace. The humans watched in tense silence. Vorn launched a wild punch. Kira stepped inside his reach instead of away. For a heartbeat, she was so close she could see the surprise in his eyes. Then she struck. A sharp elbow to his ribs, a palm strike to his chin. She moved away before he could grab her. Vorn touched his face in shock. There was blood on his lip, his own blood. "You," he growled. The arena went quiet. Everyone had seen it. The tiny princess had drawn blood from the mighty prince. Now Vorn was angry, really angry. He abandoned technique and attacked with pure rage. His fists flew wildly. His kicks tore through the air. He was trying to destroy her with overwhelming force. But anger made him sloppy, just like Yuna had predicted. Kira dodged a punch and countered with a strike to his knee. Vorn stumbled. She hit his other knee before he could recover. He dropped slightly, just a few inches lower than before. She was not trying to hurt him. She was trying to wear him down. Death by 1,000 cuts, or in this case 1,000 small strikes. Minutes passed. Vorn was breathing hard now. His attacks were slower. His movements were heavier. He had never fought anyone who moved like this. He had never faced an opponent who refused to meet his strength head-on. "Stop running," he screamed. "Fight me like a Velen." Kira circled him slowly. Her own breathing was controlled. Her body was tired, but her mind was clear. "I am not a Velen," she said. "I fight like a human." She darted forward. Vorn threw a punch out of reflex, but he was too slow now. Kira grabbed his arm and twisted her body, using his own weight and momentum against him, just like Han Yi had taught her, just like their very first lesson. Vorn flipped through the air and crashed onto the mat. The entire arena shook with the impact. For a moment, everything was silent. Then Vorn began to rise, slowly, painfully. He pushed himself up on shaking arms, his face twisted with disbelief and fury. "Impossible," he breathed. "You cannot. You are nothing." Kira walked toward him. Her heart was pounding, but her steps were steady. Vorn launched himself at her with one final attack. It was desperate and clumsy. Kira sidestepped easily. Her legs swept low, taking out his feet. As he fell, she followed with an elbow strike to his throat. Vorn hit the ground on his back. He tried to get up, but Kira was already on top of him. Her elbow pressed against his throat, cutting off his air. Her knee pinned his arm to the ground. He struggled, but in that position his greater strength meant nothing. "Yield," Kira said. Vorn's eyes were wild. He tried to throw her off, but she adjusted her position smoothly. She had practiced this hold 100 times, 1,000 times. She knew exactly how to keep him trapped. "Yield," she repeated. The arena was completely silent. Every human, every Velen, they all watched without breathing. Vorn's struggles grew weaker. His face was turning dark from lack of air. If she held the position long enough, he would pass out, or worse. But Kira did not want to kill him. She had never wanted to kill him. She just wanted to prove that he was wrong, that their father was wrong, that everyone who had ever called her worthless was wrong. "Yield," she said one more time, "and I will let you live." For a long moment, Vorn's red eyes stared into hers. She saw many things in those eyes: rage, shame, disbelief, and finally, deep beneath it all, fear. "I yield," he whispered. Kira released him and stood up. She stepped back, her chest heaving with exhaustion. The arena exploded. The humans jumped to their feet, screaming and cheering. They chanted her name. They pounded on the walls. They hugged each other with tears in their eyes. They had never seen anything like this. A princess rejected by her own people had defeated a prince using human techniques. The underdog had won. The Velens sat in stunned silence. Some of them looked at Kira with shock, others with something that might have been respect. Vorn lay on the mat, staring at the ceiling. His whole world had just shattered. Everything he believed about strength and power and worth was wrong. And his little sister, the one he had called worthless his entire life, had been the one to show him. Kira looked at him one last time. She did not smile. She did not gloat. She simply bowed, the same bow of respect that Han Yi had shown her on the first day. Then she turned and walked toward the tunnel where her human family was waiting. Han Yi was the first to reach her. He put a hand on her shoulder and nodded. "Well done." Yuna was grinning like a fool. "That was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." Bora was crying and laughing at the same time. She wrapped Kira in a hug that nearly knocked her over. Kira stood there, surrounded by the people who loved her, and felt something warm spreading through her chest. For the first time in her life, she was not weak. For the first time in her life, she was proud of who she was. For the first time in her life, she was home. News of the duel spread like fire across the galaxy. Within hours, every human colony knew the story. A Velen princess, rejected by her own father, had defeated one of the Empire's greatest warriors using human fighting techniques. The videos were shared millions of times. People who had never met Kira celebrated her victory like she was one of their own. Among the Velans, the reaction was different. Shock, confusion, shame. For centuries, they had believed that size and raw power were everything. Now a tiny female had proven them wrong in front of the entire galaxy. The foundations of their society were shaking. Kira spent the days after the duel recovering. Her body was bruised and sore. She had pushed herself harder than ever before, and now she was paying the price. But she did not mind the pain. It was a good pain, the pain of victory. Bora came to check on her every day. She brought food and medicine and stories to keep Kira entertained. Yuna stopped by when she could, already planning new training sessions, and Han Yi sat with her in the evenings, saying little but always present. On the 5th day after the duel, Kira received a message. It was from her father, King Orin. The message was short and formal. It said that the king had watched the recording of the duel. It said that he was impressed by his daughter's unexpected abilities. It said that he recognized her value to the Empire. And it demanded that she return home immediately. Kira read the message 3 times. Then she set it down and stared at the wall for a long time. Han Yi found her sitting like that an hour later. "I heard about the message," he said, sitting down across from her. "The whole station has heard." "He wants me back," Kira said. Her voice was flat, empty. Han Yi nodded. "What do you want?" Kira was quiet for a moment. She thought about her childhood, the cold halls of the Velen Palace, the cruel words of her siblings, the disappointed eyes of her father. She had spent her whole life trying to earn their love, their respect, their approval. She had failed every time. Then she thought about Station Horizon, the training room where Han Yi had taught her to fight, the observation deck where she had watched the stars, the dining hall where Bora had told her stories about human heroes, the arena where she had finally proven her worth. "I do not want to go back," she said slowly. "I never want to go back." "Then don't," Han Yi said simply. Kira looked at him. "But my father, the diplomatic situation. I do not want to cause problems for the humans." Han Yi shook his head. "You were given to us. You are not a prisoner here. You have the right to choose where you want to be." "He will be angry," Kira said. "Probably," Han Yi agreed. "But what can he do? Attack us? Start a war over one person? The whole galaxy is watching now. Everyone saw what you did. If he tries to take you by force, he will look like a bully and a fool." Kira thought about this. Han Yi was right. The situation had changed. She was no longer a worthless reject that no one cared about. She was famous now. Important. Her father could not simply grab her and drag her home. For the first time in her life, she had power over him. "I want to send a response," she said. Han Yi handed her a tablet. "I thought you might." Kira took the tablet and began to write. She wrote for over an hour, deleting and rewriting until every word was exactly right. When she was finished, she read it one more time. Then she pressed send. The message to King Orin said, "Father, I received your demand. I refuse. You sent me away because I was weak. You threw me away like garbage because I did not meet your standards. You wanted to forget I existed. The humans took me in when you rejected me. They trained me when you abandoned me. They believed in me when you saw nothing but shame. I am not weak anymore. But that is not because of you. It is because of them. I do not need your approval. I do not need your love. I do not need your empire. I have found a new family, a real family, one that values me for who I am, not for how big or strong I am. I will not return. I am no longer your daughter. I am my own person now. Do not contact me again." She signed it simply, Kira. The response from the Velen Empire came within hours. It was full of threats and demands. King Orin was furious. He called Kira a traitor, a disgrace, a fool. He warned that there would be consequences. But he did not send ships. He did not start a war. Just as Han Yi had predicted, he could not afford to look weak in front of the galaxy. In the end, he did nothing. Months passed, then years. Kira remained on Station Horizon, but her role changed. She was no longer a student. She became a teacher. Human soldiers came to learn from her. They wanted to understand the techniques that had defeated Prince Vorn. They wanted to learn how to fight enemies bigger and stronger than themselves. Kira taught them everything she knew. But she did not just teach humans. Aliens from other species came too. Races who had been bullied by the Velens for centuries. Races who wanted to learn how to stand up for themselves. Kira welcomed them all. Her training center grew. What started as a small room became a whole section of the station, then a separate building, then a whole complex. Warriors came from across the galaxy to study with the famous princess who had chosen humans over her own people. Yuna became her partner, helping manage the training program. Bora opened a medical center nearby, making sure the students stayed healthy. And Han Yi, though he was getting older now, still came by every day to watch and offer advice. They were a family, strange and unexpected but real. One day, a young Velen female arrived at the training center. She was small for her kind, with the same look of fear and shame that Kira had worn years ago. She had run away from her home world because she was tired of being called worthless. Kira welcomed her personally. "What is your name?" she asked. "Lena," the young Velen said quietly. "I know I am not supposed to be here. I know I am not welcome among humans, but I had nowhere else to go." Kira smiled. It was a warm smile full of understanding. "You are welcome here," she said. "This is a place for everyone who was told they were not good enough, everyone who was rejected, everyone who was thrown away." She put a hand on Lena's shoulder. "I was like you once, small, weak, afraid. Do you want to know what I learned?" Lena looked up at her with wide eyes. "What?" "Strength is not about how big you are or how hard you can hit," Kira said. "Strength is about choosing to keep going when everyone says you should give up. It is about standing up when the world pushes you down. It is about being true to who you are, even when others reject you." She gestured around at the training center, at the warriors from a dozen different species working together. "Everyone here learned that lesson, and now you will too." Lena's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. "I want to learn," she whispered. Kira smiled. Those were the same words she had spoken to Han Yi all those years ago. "Good," she said. "Then we start tomorrow. Get some rest. You are going to need it." Years later, when alien diplomats visited human space, they often asked about the famous Kira. They wanted to meet the princess who had been thrown away but became a legend. The humans always gave the same answer. They smiled and said, "She is one of us now." And Kira, standing in her training center surrounded by students from across the galaxy, surrounded by the family she had chosen, knew that it was true. She had been born a Velen. She had been raised as a reject, but she had become something more. She had become human in the way that mattered most. She had learned to never give up. And that made all the difference.